We are going to address the topic of C&I and residential storage as a really trending way to unlock solar potential in Africa. Just a quick word about GoodWe. This is a series of events organized by GoodWe. And we are very lucky because we are the first ones to start today, Monday, with a session focused on the MEA region, so Middle East and Africa. And throughout the rest of the week, the GoodWe team will be organizing similar sessions for other regions across the globe. So today, of course, with ABSIA, we're focused on Africa, the entire continent, Sub-Saharan, and also North Africa. And we have, as you can see, a very good team of experts who are going to be sharing with us a little bit more about their knowledge and the latest updates on storage technologies. Quick sneak peek on the program for today. You notice that we have literally 2 sessions, 2 times 1 hour. The first hour will be focused on C&I storage. We will have various speakers, Mr. Tang, Jaco de Wet, Nigel Engelbert, and then we will finish off that hour with a Q&A and a panel discussion. So the idea is that you submit all your questions that pop up during the presentations as they come, and then we will try to address many of them at the end of this 1 hour. And then the second hour will be focused on residential storage with an address from Mr. Chen, and then followed by presentation by Mr. Altaha and also Mr. Besbes. And same thing, submit all your questions about residential solar throughout their presentations, and we will then address them in the last section of that hour during the Q&A and the panel discussion. Before I hand over to Jaco, I would like to remind you of the usual housekeeping rules. You have as a listener, you have two options at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom controls. You have the option to chat with fellow listeners, and this is a great opportunity for you to do a little bit of digital networking, present yourself, say where you're from, kind of business you do, and maybe even like submit some business opportunities. But if you have dedicated questions for our speakers, then I invite you to submit them through the other option, which is Q&A, because then all your questions are channeled through a different stream, and it allows us to address as many of them in an easy way. So this is all for my little introduction. I would like to invite our first speaker, Jaco. Jaco, you can turn on your video and turn on your mic, please. There we go. And I've given you the controls so that you are able now to share your presentation and get started in just a few seconds. While you do so, I would like to tell our listeners a little bit more about you. Jaco, you are the regional sales manager at GoodWe for the Southern African region. As such, you work closely with distributors, with EPCs, with installers, always with an eye on delivering the highest possible performance for solar solutions, every time tailored to the local needs. We know that the reality across Africa can be very different country to country. So this is very important in our case more than in any other region. And generally speaking, I think your specialty is really to bridge the gap between, on one side, the technical innovations, which are many in this field, but also making sure that this translates into commercial success for your clients. So with this very short introduction, I'm very happy to hand over to you, Jaco. I'm going to go quiet, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Thanks for that introduction. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the GoodWe webinar. Today, I'll be focusing on one of the fastest growing segments in the solar industry, especially in Africa and South Africa, which is the commercial and industrial energy storage segment. Right, so GoodWe C&I Storage Solutions. Firstly, we need to understand why C&I storage matters. So as businesses worldwide are facing rising energy costs, and in Africa in particular, we have severe grid instability. This fuels the demand for scalable, efficient, and cost-effective storage solutions. And at GoodWe, we are committed to delivering reliable energy solutions that help businesses optimize energy consumption, enhance their resilience, and unlock, obviously, the most important, unlock the long-term savings. GoodWe's role in C&I storage. So we have built a strong reputation in the industry by offering high-performance solar and storage solutions, tailored for both commercial and industrial applications. From hybrid inverters to PCA storage solutions, they are all designed to provide maximum efficiency and flexibility for different business needs. Right, the star of today's show is definitely the ET50. So the ET50 is a 50 kilowatt three-phase hybrid inverter. As you can see, the design is completely different. It doesn't follow the typical design in this kind of application scenario. So the ET50 has a separated STS or static transfer switch box, and we will later in the presentation deep dive into what that means and how it is beneficial to installers. Key takeaways here is in South Africa and in most of Africa, we will mainly promote the 50 kilowatt unit. So there is two versions in the series. There's a 40 and a 50 kilowatt model. But as mentioned, we will focus predominantly on the 50 kilowatt, as the price difference between the 40 and the 50 is quite small. As a full hybrid solution to achieve off-grid capability, the STS is needed. But this unit is also a very strong competitive offering or has a strong competitive offering for arbitrage and self-consumption. We then do not need the static transfer switch. The ET50 has strong overloading capacities. So in the parameter section, we will look closer to at this feature, but it does support 75 kilowatt of overloading for up to 10 seconds. And that is aimed at inductive loads, running inductive loads and startup currents that might be a little bit higher. Right, firstly, let's take a look at the appearance. So it's an extremely compact design. The unit only weighs about 65 kilograms. And as you can see, in terms of dimensions, it is a very small and compact inverter. If we look at the ports and the inputs on the unit, as per all the other devices, the GoodWe range, we've got the LED indicators on the front of the machine. That will give you the system status indicator as well as the battery SOC indicator. So as a quick glance, you can see exactly what the system is doing and in what state it's operating, and also see the state of charge of the battery system. For easy installation, there is a handle which can be used on both sides, which can be used for mounting and for easy lifting. The rest includes the fan, the DC switch, cooling fins, and then you'll see at the bottom, we've got all the input ports. So all MPPT and string inputs will be on the left side, and then we have the battery input. Next to that is the communications port. That's where all the communications for parallel or for third-party integration everything will be done through those ports. Then we have the battery communication port as well as the meter comms ports. And then what is important here is number 15 is the AC output port. So as I mentioned, as just the inverter on itself without the STS, this ET50 can be used as a self-consumption or arbitrage billing application. Then there is only one link to the grid, and that will then act or make the unit act as a on-grid inverter. So it can be installed purely as a fully on-grid inverter with the ability of also injecting battery stored energy for self-consumption or arbitrage billing. As you can see, there's no backup port or any other AC ports. There is only one port. The rest, if you would require a dedicated backup output for off-grid applications, that is where the STS will be added, and we will take a look at that in a few slides. Taking a look at some of the parameters, most notably on the DC input or the battery input, we support battery range from 200 to 800 volts, with nominal voltage being 500 volts. In terms of the PV string input data, the unit can utilize a maximum of 75 kilowatt of PV power. So that could either be 50 kilowatts for loads, and then 25 kilowatt will go to the battery simultaneously, or vice versa, 25 kilowatt for the load and 50 can be used for battery charging. That is not oversizing capacity allowance, that is actual usable energy, which means that the 50 kilowatt inverter can utilize 75 kilowatt of PV. If we look at the MPPT voltage range, it's a very wide range from 165 to 850 volts. And what that means is in poor sunny conditions or early mornings, as well as late afternoons, the inverter will start utilizing that PV power quicker, which results in long-term additional savings and additional revenue created. The nominal input voltage is 620 volts, and that aligns with the DC nominal voltage. Taking a look at the AC output characteristics. So on the on-grid, there's a maximum of constant 55 kVA, so the unit can be constantly overloaded to 55 kilowatt. Also on the backup output, as mentioned, 75 kilowatts at 10 seconds, and that is to account for inrush currents or for motor startup peaks, to allow for that unit to then start up to 10 seconds of overloading at 75 kilowatt. Then taking a look at the static transfer switch. So the STS is a separate control mechanism that will enable a dedicated backup output or a generator input. The generator input can also double up as a big load output. So there's a programmable input and output. And then with the STS, we can achieve a automatic switchover that is less than 10 milliseconds. So one of the big benefits of the STS is the fact that it can be connected to the inverter up to 100 meters away from the inverter. So in that sense, the STS can be installed closer to the main grid input or the incomer from the grid incomer, or if there's an existing generator, it can be installed directly by the generator, which will then maximize cable efficiency. The other benefit is that the heavy switching and the relays are installed in the STS. And typically, if there is major AC faults, those components tend to fail first. And in this case, the inverter is then protected from that. The STS also has a bypass capacity of 200 amps or 138 kilowatt, which means that in many cases, there will be no need for a separated DB or a dedicated backup DB. The entire load can be added to the backup output port. And then if once the grid falls away, or there's not enough PV power to carry the loads with the battery, the additional loads or the high loads can be switched off with a contactor. Right, so looking at the appearance, again, a very compact unit. It is fully outdoor rated, so it can be installed outside, close to the main incomer, as mentioned. It is a compact design, and it also neatens up the installation because, in this sense, all the heavy AC cables will be going to this point. And the E250 inverter will be installed closer to the battery bank and closer to the PV input. This unit weighs only 17.5 kilograms, so very easy to mount and to manage by one person, a single installer. We can also see that there's some indication lights on the front of the unit, and that will give you a good understanding of the state of the inverter, the state of backup, directly by just looking at the SDS. Then there's the various AC terminals. So that's for inverter AC terminal, the backup load terminal, generator or large load, and then the grid terminal. That's where all the AC connections will be connected. The only other thing that needs to be connected to between the SDS and the inverter is a communication cable. So there's also a communication port that will enable that. Output voltage range is from 176 to 276 volts. And as I mentioned, on the grid side, it will allow a total of, or a maximum of 55 kilowatt output, constant output. And then on the output backup side, 138 kilowatt of pass-through capability. Right, as I mentioned, the unit is outdoor rated, so IP65 rated, and only 17.5 kilograms. All the necessary certifications has been done, and we have just about 70 sites where we've already deployed this solution. A typical system diagram. So this is for a on-off-grid scenario. So you have your DC inputs on the left, PV input and the battery input. Then from the output, the AC output, we'll go to the static transfer switch. On the static transfer switch, you have a grid port for your grid connection. And then you have a dedicated backup output port. And then the on-grid loads will connect directly to the distribution board. So that's for the on-grid loads or the non-essential loads. And then one monitoring or meter with the CT clamps to enable grid export limitation, as well as full monitoring on the grid. There are two system operational methods with the generator port. So scenario one is with the direct generator integration. The generator will then be connected to the generator port and connected to the inverter that will receive the start and stop commands. Alternatively, that same port can be used as a big load output port. And there's various settings and conditions that can be linked to that port. So it can be based on a time schedule, based on SOC of the battery, based on PV production, or it can be a priority load as well. Then we'll take a quick look at parallel operation. So there's two ways of paralleling the ET50. The first way is with the EasyLink 3000 dongle. This way we can achieve 4 inverters in parallel with only adding one EasyLink dongle. The EasyLink dongle then becomes the master. So wherever the EasyLink dongle is plugged in, whichever inverter is, the EasyLink will be plugged in, will become the master inverter. and up to 4 units can then be paralleled, meaning 200 kilowatts, and that will achieve UPS level switching. The alternative is using the SEC 3000C communication box. With this SEC 3000, we can then parallel a maximum of 10 units. And this is more intended for off-grid applications, as the switching time using the SEC 3000 will be EPS level and not UPS level. The ET50 series is compatible with a wide variety of batteries. In our Type A integration, we have Dynas, BYD, and obviously GoodWe batteries support. Then we also have a Type C integration, which is mainly focused on stronger local partners that's available in South Africa. These include partners like BSL. BSL is a strong partner, and I think currently we have more ET50s installed with BSL batteries than any other brand. And then we also support a couple of other locally available batteries. A full list of these batteries is and the supported batteries, as well as the required firmware version, is available on request. So please, if you do have a battery and you're not sure if it will be integrated or if it's already integrated, you can reach out to us, and we can then provide you with a list of compatible batteries. Right. So then taking a look at the GoodWe battery offering. So first up is our 102 kilowatt outdoor solution. This is a fully self-contained all-in-one battery solution. So as you can see, there is a built-in fire suppression system with aerosol. And the inverter typically mounts on the side of the battery cabinet. It is a fully outdoor rated with IP55 rated enclosure. And then you have an insulated door and a heat resistant door, as well as an air conditioning unit at the back that will achieve forced air cooling for the battery bank. The Link C battery supports, or the outdoor battery supports up to 4 batteries in parallel, which means you can have a 50 kilowatt inverter with up to 400 kilowatt hours of dedicated storage. And then the entire system can also then be paralleled to achieve multiple inverters, up to 4 with UPS level switching, and then, as mentioned, up to 10 for off-grid scenarios. So in this example, we have 100 kilowatt of inverter power with 800 kilowatt hours of battery power. Taking a quick look at the technical specs, the nominal pack energy per pack is 10.24 kilowatt hours. There's 10 packs in one storage solution, and the usable energy is then 100 kilowatt hours. The pack voltage is 512 volt, and the operating voltage from 459 to 577 volts. Cycle life is rated at 6,000 cycles, with 90% DoD at 70% end of life. Supported depth of discharge is 100%, although by default, the GoodWe ET50 inverter will not allow you to discharge more than 95%. To achieve that, we need to then do a special command because that 5% is purely there to protect the battery. Right, so as I mentioned, the cooling method is air cooling, forced air cooling. And thus, it's proprietary GoodWe protocol. And then the total weight is roughly about 1.3 tons, which means for this installation, you will definitely require a forklift or a crane. And for that, there is optional crane hooks, M5 hooks at the top of the unit, which will then allow you to place it wherever, or we have 4-hook entry bays for forklift. The unit is IP55 rated, so fully outdoor compliant. And that completes the full outdoor solution. So it's the inverter, the STS, and then the outdoor battery. The inverter will be installed on the side as mentioned, but keeping in mind that the ET50 is also fully IP65 rated. We generally would recommend that there should be some kind of shading or something on top of the battery unit, just to avoid the air conditioning unit running all the time. Then, as a separate offering for more cost-effective applications, we also have a rack-mount battery solution. The rack-mount battery system is a 56 kilowatt hour battery bank. This unit also has built-in fire suppression, but will require external active cooling. The pack nominal energy is 5.12 kilowatt hours, and that will then allow for easily assembly on site. It is a 1.1C rated battery, and it also has a 6,000 cycle life. So it being a 1.1C battery, it means that we can have a 56 kilowatt hour bank connected to a 50 kilowatt inverter, which then as a total solution is extremely cost effective. The round trip efficiency with EG50 is 96%, and operating temperature range is from 0 to 40 degrees. It is vital to have cooling if these batteries are installed in a specific room. We will need some ventilation in that room as well as a air conditioning unit. And the ingress protection is IP20, so purely for indoor applications. And then lastly, just taking a look at some of our coming soon products. So the first look is the new ET100, which is currently being internally tested. The beta testing for South Africa will start in the next coming weeks, and we should have the product readiness should be in the next 2 to 3 months. This will be an extension to the ET series, with the target market segment being from 100 kilowatt up to 1 megawatt. So following the trend of the ET50, there's 2 nominal power in ranges. So it's either 80 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt unit. Again, in South Africa, we will predominantly focus on the 100 kilowatt unit. In comparison with the ET50, which has 4 MPBTs with 2 strings each, the ET100 will have 8 MPBTs with 2 strings each, and also 2 battery inputs with a battery input current of 200 amp. Again, the unit is very compact with the separated STS design, and the weight is manageable for 2 or 3 guys to lift and install. And something else that is also unique, it will have an integrated DC switch that will automatically trip on certain conditions. In terms of major highlights, as I mentioned, 8 MPPTs with 20 amp input per MPPT. That will accommodate the 210 millimeter modules from 600 and 620 watt and upwards. The unit supports parallel up to 10 units, so up to 1 meg. Fully support microgrid applications, and it will have UPS level on-grid and off-grid switching. In terms of overloading, it will support 150% overloading for 10 seconds, again to accommodate inrush currents and motor startup applications. And it will adapt to single battery cabinet with 2 independent battery cabinets as well. So depending on if you want multiple because there is two battery inputs, you can have either one battery connected to the system or two different size, different capacity batteries linked to one inverter. Then the ESA PCS product. So this is a 125 kilowatt unit with 261 kilowatt hour batteries built in. It supports various working mode options, predominantly peak shaving, arbitrage filling, self-consumption, and VPP or virtual power plant. So the ESA series is perfect for self-consumption. It is designed to be string technology in the sense that the system can grow based on the demand. You can start with one unit and feed in, or just to shave peak loads, and then grow as the requirement grows. It is a fully self-contained, high energy dense solution. So in that size, in that footprint, there's 261 kilowatt hours of built-in storage. The other key factor here is that the batteries are water cooled, so that obviously extends the battery lifespan. And then we support multiple parallel operations up to 8 units. Long-term overloading on the PCS at 110% of the rated output, and the PCS will also support 100% three-phased unbalanced output. Right, that is it. I would like to invite you to join and follow our WhatsApp channel. We have regular communications on WhatsApp. We also share our newsletter sign-up sheet and all other social medias through the WhatsApp channel. All new products as well as training and upcoming webinars are communicated through this channel. And it is all based on local content. So it is dedicated for the South African team. So please join the WhatsApp channel to stay up to date with the latest news and updates from the GoodWe South Africa team.
Thank you very much,
and
Jaco.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everyone.
And yes, thanks for highlighting the various communication channels that you have set in place, you and your team. Also, just to make sure this is clear to everybody who's listening today, all the presentations will be shared with everyone, the recordings as well. So in case there's something you've missed, fear not, because you will get access to the various content elements of today. And then, of course, yes, we will make sure that the GoodWe team is in touch with you if you have a particular request. Want a personalized follow-up or something like this, just make sure you drop it in the Q&A section, because this records your email address as well, your contact details. So this ensures that you can be contacted later on for a one-to-one discussion. And thank you so much. I mean, there's been already quite a lot of questions submitted. Thank you very much. We are going to address these questions just after the next session with Mr. Nigel Engelbrecht, who is going to tell us a little bit more about the challenges of unreliable power grids, with a special focus on South Africa. But we know that what has happened over the past few years in South Africa is also quite prevalent in other countries. And so, Nigel, I have given you the control so you can share your presentation. And while you do this, I would like to give a brief word of background about you. You are the sales director at Get Off Grid, which is a company active in the renewable energy sector. Yourself, you've been working in this space for more than 5 years now. And at Get Off Grid, you are in charge of various things, among others, first of all, in charge of all revenue generation for the group, as well as strategic planning, implementation of projects, and very important, the measurements of the outcomes based on those projects that you implement. And so this puts you in a privileged position to tell us about some of the reality you witnessed on the ground and some key insights that you would like to share with us today. So with no further ado, I hand over to you. Um, yes.
Thanks, John, for the introduction. Hi to everybody that is attending. Appreciate for everyone to make the time for this. Thanks very much to Yaku from GoodWe. Very insightful and very exciting new products that are coming out that are definitely, in my opinion, quite innovative. And as far as I can determine, the pricing is also very competitive. So looking forward to when those are available to launch. My side of this webinar is to try not bore anyone with the death by PowerPoint that sometimes does happen. More often than not, I'm going to be basing my my stuff on South Africa. We know that South Africa is the poster child for what has now become load shedding, and load shedding is now become prevalent in many other countries. So if we use South Africa as a reference to a few interesting talking points, we can hopefully learn a thing or two here. Navigating the darkness. Fancy word for that. Right, so load shedding and power supply deficits. As you can see in the graph illustrated here, 2023 was by far the most chronic experience that South Africans had, with load shedding reaching up to stage 6 and even hitting what we call stage 8, which is essentially more than half the day with no power. You'll see that the load shedding did actually start from as far back as 2014. There were slight dips where it was briefly being shed, and then it started to really ramp up as the grid became super constrained. And as you can see, 2023 was the worst one. Coming into 2024, which was last year, we did experience most of the year without load shedding. So, there has been significant progress on that front. So basically, what is load shedding? It's chronic energy shortages due to insufficient generation capacity. The impact of load shedding on businesses, households, and industry is extremely hard felt, which will be covered in a future slide coming. And the frequency and unpredictability of power cuts. Yes, we would have load shedding, but at the same time, we would have unplanned outages. Unplanned outages actually being more, if I can use the word, devastating or more costly to us than having planned load shedding schedules that we can live our life around. If we go to the next slide, you'll see here what we call the energy availability factor. Eskom is the sole monopolistic grid or electricity transmission generator provider in South Africa. This graph demonstrates the over time from 2011 to 2023, with unplanned outages in gray and with the energy availability factor in the blue. You can see that there are direct correlations between the two. And in some instances where unplanned outages, such as 2023, was at its all-time high, which again was absolutely devastating to our economy, but that will come up as well. Obviously, last year, 2024, the EAF factor has improved significantly, but still a lot of strain on the grid. And even now into 2025, we have had those little bouts of load shedding, which is a teaser that reminds us that we're not really out of the woods just yet. Aging infrastructure and maintenance issues. So in here, we can clearly see the transmission lines that Eskom has set up over time within South Africa. I don't know if the graph is clear enough to show you what the planned substations are that are marked in a blue square, but we need another 14,000 kilometers of transmission lines. And given the current economic state of Eskom being at 120 billion rand in the red, we know that that is a very unlikely outcome within the short term. So we know that off the back of this information, that we can reliably expect to have more frequent unplanned outages as they occur during the course of this year. You can see some notes have been made on this. Maintenance issues, so infrastructure, we need 14,000 more kilometers of transmission lines, which is a massive cost. And then in terms of maintenance, Eskom's aging power plants are, some of them are even older than 20 years. There has been frequent delayed maintenance and very poor asset management, causing lots of supply instability, as well as it being compounded by vulnerabilities in transmission and distribution networks from damage and theft. On this slide, you will note that the graph will represent all of the power plants that are listed. You'll see as far down as the Camden power plant, which was built in 1967. Which is way older than me, and Kusile, which is the latest, newest one, which is in 2017. What this graph is demonstrating is that there is no correlation between the age of the power plant and its EAF production, more that there is a correlation between the lack of maintenance and asset management of each plant affecting the EAF that we receive here in South Africa. So coming back to maintenance or poor asset management of the infrastructure. If we just move forward to grid voltage and frequency, which is not the strongest talking point on my side, but I have made some notes here. We know that grid voltage and frequency
The moment, Nigel, sorry to interrupt you. There seems to be a small freezing of your presentation. So maybe if you could just maybe reshare it.
Sure, no problem. Give me a moment. I think Eskom is hearing me, so maybe there's a problem. Let me just do this. Here. Is that successful?
Let's see, it's coming back. Yes.
Are we successful?
Not yet. We can see that you're trying to share, but your screen is not coming yet.
Okay, let me just do this. Give me a second. Let me unshare and reshare again.
Yeah.
It's clearly some sensitive stuff. So let's do it this way. How are we doing?
It is not yet there. All right, let's do something else.
What are we looking at here for a second? Yeah. Let me see what I can do.
For now, it's dark, so your presentation was quite well titled. But you know what? I'm going to be sharing your presentation from my side. Okay, normally you should be seeing this now. Okay, and I will go, just let me know and guide me through your slides, and I will share this with the...
Okay, so I think just go to page 5, grid voltage.
Yeah.
How are we doing there? Let me know if it's...
Yeah, I'm sharing it. I'm sharing your presentation now, so we are on page 5.
Okay, so I can't see, okay, but we can see that there's grid voltage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So grid voltage and frequency fluctuations. So in terms of grid voltage and frequency, increasingly common, which is due to load shedding, infrastructure issues, and the integration of renewable energy sources. So this makes a lot of fluctuations, and it impacts the grid voltage quite significantly, which we are all quite aware of. Sensitive equipment like computers, medical devices, industrial machinery, home appliances are all affected by voltage sags, power surges, and frequency deviation. So basically results in a lot of damage that comes through the grid at various points, when the grid's off, when the grid's on, management of grid. These fluctuations can result in equipment malfunctioning and irreversible damage, and shortened lifespan, especially to critical sectors, mining, healthcare, transport. So as we go forward, we will look at the numbers in terms of what this has done. Businesses relying on precision machinery, as I mentioned, or critical systems, are especially at risk, leading to financial and operating losses and disruptions, which is some of the main drivers for installing and adopting renewables very aggressively in this country. Next slide, please. Are we there? I can't see it on my screen, so I'm assuming...
Yes, we are there. There's always like a small delay because of this, but we are on page 6, economic and business impacts.
Okay, and that slide will be called economic and business impacts. So when we look at the business impacts, it's really the picture is best portrayed by just the numbers. So if we go to page 7, if you will, these stats were pulled from Investec's data. Investec is a major wealth bank in South Africa and does a lot of investment within the commercial and residential space when it comes to energy. So they did quite an interesting study. This was up until the beginning of 2024. So it's a year out, but it's still a very relevant. So if we look at the cost of load shedding, you'll see that in 2023, there was 0 days without it, basically meaning every day load shedding was at its highest, as per the previous graph. 48% Eskom's lowest availability factor in 22, which is extremely frightening. And South Africa's expected real GDP growth, 0.3%, which is unsustainable for any economy. We look at the numbers here, 120 billion investment required to help Eskom. That is basically Eskom's debt. 300 billion, which was the cost to the South African economy in 2022. If we fast forward that number to the end of the financial year, February 28, 2023, overall for 4 years, we find that there was an impact of up to 1.2 trillion rand that affected the South African economy, which I think doesn't matter what currency that you like to exchange your money in, but that is a very big number. So on this graph, 5% of GDP was lost in 22. Moving over, if we look at sectors, we'll see that mining, 15% hit. If we look at agriculture, 10% hit, and the list just keeps on going. It's quite a sad picture. If we move to page 8, as titled, the impacts continue. Retailers got smashed quite hard, 100 million rand just for ShopRite alone to spend on diesel. Property groups like Attack spent, what was this? Growth Point spending 47 million rand on diesel for most of 2022. These are massive costs that businesses are incurring just to keep the lights on, just to keep customers happy, just to try and keep everyone employed. Even there for Kile, to be in diesel then, I suppose, and generators. Healthcare took hard knocks, 25 million rand, also huge diesel upfront costs. Telco, 720 million rand. Telkom, which is our main provider in South Africa, 700 million because of load shedding, in order to compensate for power outages losses. So, you know, it's one thing to talk about load shedding, yes, lights go off and this, but it's another thing to look at the financial implications of load shedding, and just how a drop in electricity can cripple any economy. Doesn't matter if you're a first world nation or a third world, it is devastating. If we move, sorry, if we could just move to page 9. I'm nearly done, everyone. Page 9, the role of distributed energy systems. Let me just go here. So where we're moving, as is the future, the growth of solar energy independence technology. As grid instability continues to worsen, solar and battery storage systems are becoming essential rather than optional. Businesses and homeowners are increasingly turning to distributed energy solutions, otherwise known as DES, to gain control over their power supply and reduce their dependencies. PV systems that are paired with energy solutions allow for continuous power availability, even during extended grid outages or load shedding, or whatever term you would like to give it. Battery storage systems are evolving rapidly to provide great capacity, efficiency, and reliability with advanced technologies. The adoption of solar battery systems has accelerated due to one of many driving factors, like rising electricity costs, which is huge here in South Africa. The price of electricity is continuing to rise. On average, every 2 years, we're getting 30% increases on electricity. So that is a key driver for us here. Environmental concerns, government incentives, which are aimed at promoting energy use. For example, South Africa has what's called the 12B tax incentive program, allowing commercial off-takers to install renewable energy systems and to be able to claim 100% backs, 100% in tax. So all of this makes for very attractive sort of landscape for investment. And then let's just have a look here. And then just in closing here, hybrid systems that combine solar battery storage and grid power provide enhanced resilience. Off-grid systems are particularly valuable in rural and undeserved areas where grid reliability is pretty much non-existent. Hence, the need for South Africa to implement another 14,000 kilometers of transmission lines, because many people do not get any power at all, ever. Energy independence allows businesses and homeowners to maintain critical operations, as we know, the ability to store excess energy during optimal generation periods and use it during outages. Off-grid and hybrid systems can be scaled to meet the needs of residential, commercial, and industrial applications. And to this end, this is why a business as big as Get Off Grid, which is arguably one of the largest importers of renewable energy products in Southern Africa, is partnered very closely with GoodWe. We know that GoodWe is a globally recognized leader in inverter and battery technologies and offers cutting-edge hybrid and off-grid systems, to which Get Off Grid distributes, and we train installers, and we are very proud to be associated with GoodWe because of the product quality, the warranty management, the technology, and the intelligence that is in the technology. And we know that over a long period of time, you know, GoodWe has always proven to be the right brand to back, no matter what country we serve or what country we distribute into. And to this end, I will end my long talk and forcing everyone to look at my graphs. But yes, thanks very much for the opportunity. I hope it has been somewhat insightful. But John, thanks so much for that. And I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. And yes, I hope I managed to follow your slides and presentation as you had originally scheduled. But I think you did like a very striking demonstration here of the opportunity costs of not having electricity and load shedding, which is a reality for many countries outside of South Africa on the continent. So me personally, I would like to look at the positive side of this. South Africa has been hit by load shedding and has suffered economic loss. But you could also see it in the other way around. Storage solutions could help countries which do not have enough access to power to actually increase their economy and allow businesses and industries to perform better and more. So I hope that this is one of the positive impacts of the growth of storage across Africa. We have a few minutes now for a quick discussion and a few questions submitted by the listeners. Maybe what we'll do, Nigel and Yaku, if you can turn on back your cameras and mics so that I can so that we can all see you. Same thing. Yes, Nigel, you're back. Wonderful. All right, and I'll just select through a few questions. We've received many, and I'll just shoot them at you. First question.
Sorry, John.
Yes.
Maybe, sorry, just before we get to that. So, unfortunately, my colleague was unable to join. So maybe if I can just do a quick update and overview of the GoodWe SA team. I'll keep it short and simple, and then we can head straight into the questions. So Tang was supposed to join, but he had some technical difficulties, so he couldn't make it. Tang is our regional sales director. He looks after the entire SSA as a region, sub-Saharan African region, which includes West Africa, East Africa, and then Southern Africa. For the South African team, we started in the South African market roughly around 2014, where we launched the first ES Generation 1 series inverter. At that time, it was the first Asian hybrid inverter available in the market on a global scale. And GoodWe was extremely privileged to enjoy 60% market share with that specific device. It also comes with some negative connotation to being the first and being such a huge player. We typically, even today, find people that compare that model with what is available in today's technology. Obviously, the technology has shifted heavily. It's expanded quite heavily. So from that, we have also launched Generation 2, as well as the ES Unique. So being first and being the best or the biggest player does sometimes come with some negative feedback later on. But we still have close to about 3,000 units of the ES Generation 1, which is now a 10-year-old system, still running in South Africa. So in terms of reliability, in terms of the product strength, it is still right up there. Although we haven't promoted it for the last 5 years because there's been superseding models and newer technologies launched. Our office is based in Johannesburg, so we have a satellite office in Johannesburg, and that's where the entire South Africa team sits. It is in Boksburg, and it is specifically close to the airport, the OR Tambo International Airport, which obviously helps us to travel to various parts in South Africa as well as our neighboring countries. Over the last 7 or 8 months, we've had some major changes. Most notably, we have moved out of the EMEA umbrella. We used to be a region that was managed under EMEA, and subsequently, in the beginning of this year, we moved out and directly under HQ's guidance. The benefit of that is that we can promote products that is specifically tailored and manufactured and designed for our market needs. Europe is having their own challenges, and they're going through some other problems at the moment, but having direct channel with HQ means that we can influence product development directly. And that is where the ET50 also shines through. It was developed for the South African market originally, the same with the ES Unique, which is another product that was that's a hybrid inverter for the residential applications, residential storage applications. It was designed and developed specifically for off-grid and strong off-grid capabilities, strong hybrid capabilities. So it is definitely beneficial. In addition to that, we've also expanded our team. So about 2 years ago, we were only 3 members strong. We're currently sitting on 7 members in South Africa. So we have a dedicated after-sales team. And that excludes our first-level support team. That is just the high-level management staff. And we are expanding to a headcount of roughly about 10 people before the end of this year, which will also include a new project-focused team, specifically targeting utility-scale projects. So that is it. We do have plans to also expand to Cape Town with a regional office, or at least a dedicated member that will look after. Cape Town is a very big region for GoodWe South Africa. So the future is definitely to have boots on the ground in that strategic areas. So that's just a quick introduction from the South African team. I think my colleague would have done something similar, and then we can hit the questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Yaku. And jumping right into the questions, just in the benefit of time, we have a first question from Salim, asking if you were to highlight, and this question is for both of you, if you were to highlight one major innovation of the last 5 years, what has been the most game-changing to you, and what has the most impact on C&I storage solutions?
If I can jump in, so are you referring to the first question? What are the key differences between how have battery technologies evolved? So if we look at the evolution of battery technologies, lithium iron phosphate LFP batteries is dominating the market. I think the main point there is due to the wide adoption in EVs and the massive demand, the pricing is the biggest benefit. So overall, lithium is one of the safest technologies, but it is also extremely cost effective. If we compare today's pricing per kilowatt versus 5 years ago, we are sitting at a percentage of that cost. Many industry experts have noted that we have reached a point where it has become it's at a level now where it can't really go lower. So it has kind of plateaued, it is standardized, and it is now getting to a point that there's nothing really better than LFP technology. So the future will see, or there's nothing more that they can do with the technology. So future innovations will include something like solid state batteries. I think one key question is how we will recycle all these batteries. Is due to the load shedding in 2023, there was a massive influx of battery applications deployed in South Africa. And in the coming 4 or 5 years, it will be interesting to see how those batteries will be recycled and put into second life generation or second life applications. But one of the key takeaways or how it has evolved is inverters have also come a long way in terms of understanding grid failures. Switching time is extremely important. So typically for these larger applications, having a seamless transfer between on and off grid has become more and more relevant. So the offering that's available is more in line with the demand. In the last 5 years, the C&I market were the first to adopt on-grid technology for cost savings. But due to the pricing that's come down and the technology that's become a lot easier, adding a storage element to that on-grid already saving is becoming more and more relevant, and the return on investment is shrinking. So it answers multiple questions. So yes, there is a cost saving. Yes, there's a return on investment, but there's also a guaranteed output, which ensures business continuity during outages or network failures. So the big driver, no matter how you look at it, is first going to be the pricing. So pricing was the major thing, and there's nothing
Then
much.
there's the 17 other things that you mentioned. Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Nigel, I think Jaco has covered all the potential answers on this question, so I'll share another question with you. Question from Julia. In the work that you've done, is there any particular recommendation that you would give to people when it comes to retrofitting existing solar installations and including the storage component, either because it has to be changed or simply because there wasn't any before? Any kind of top tips for going about this?
Well, retrofitting is a swear word when it comes to this industry. The challenges that we find, to be quite frank, when you're trying to retrofit battery technology to another brand's battery, for example, you will undoubtedly incur many issues, because at the base level of battery storage is the BMS, which is basically controlling the currents and the discharging. When those two BMSs do not run on the same protocols and they're from different manufacturers, there is very little to no communication. So retrofitting is not very possible. There is technology being designed whereby there are third-party hardware devices that can do those things. Those are not common marketplace applications just yet, but it will be in the next couple of years, given the diverse energy mix that countries do experience, various brands, commercial, residential, all of that. You've got factors where brands will come in and they'll sell and they'll close shop and leave, and then lots of consumers have no choices. So those things are coming. But as it stands right now, putting batteries together from different brands, it's a no-go. We know that the cost of this stuff is still pretty high, but it's always best practice to just do a full replacement, and sell the second-hand battery to a lower market class that can afford it.
Very clear.
If I can add to what Nigel's already alluded to, so there's 2 points of retrofit. So as I mentioned, a couple of years ago, or over the last 4 or 5 years, the C&I market has adopted C&I string technology, which means there is no battery component. And in that regard, adding an AC coupled retrofit solution is quite straightforward and easy to do. So the investment is pure. The modules are there, the inverters are there. Yes, there is some constraints when it comes to communication and seamless operation, but there's also some market experts in that can provide a plant controller that can communicate with various manufacturers and bring everything onto a single platform. And typically, this is how that is done. On a high level, it is not necessarily required, because the AC coupled storage solution can still be set up to charge at specific conditions, meaning if the solar production is very high, only then do we push that additional battery power or PV power into the battery, and then nighttime we can use that again. The ET50, the main product that I presented today, also has an option for that, which is arbitrage billing or time of use applications or self-consumption. So it can be easily fit into the energy mix, regardless of what other brand was already installed for string inverter technology, because it has specific time slots where it can charge and discharge batteries. So based on the trends of the building, the ET50 can then act on the historical data and get it very close to very efficient. But ultimately, the best case is to have a third-party, non-proprietary controller that will manage the various aspects of a system like that. Also, these plant controllers has come a long way. So solar technology in general is very proprietary. There's lots of closed communications between vendors that don't necessarily share a singular platform. So they have really stepped up into that space to provide a common platform where various brands can communicate to each other. So that would be one of the big steps. But as I mentioned, adding a retrofit storage solution, either through the PCS product, the 125 kilowatt PCS product, or the ET50 already exists. The benefit of that is, in many cases, the maximum load or the peak loads of a specific application might just be too high to justify having a off-grid capacity built to spec. But adding in small increments, it becomes way more attractive. So even if the load is 200 kilowatts, the peak load is 200 kilowatts, you can AC couple a 50 kilowatt solution and still enjoy the maximum savings. That 50 kilowatt can then be utilized to peak shave only. By just taking that major peaks away, there'll already be a massive saving. So it depends on applications, but in most applications, retrofitting is possible. As Nigel also mentioned, batteries is typically a bit of a problem. Mixing old battery technology with new battery technology is always going to be a problem. Unless you have a DC to DC communication or DC-DC solution. The benefit of GoodWe
Thank you.
is
maybe Jaco, sorry to interrupt you, but we are already like 15 minutes past the schedule, and I'm getting the other speakers very excited to speak about residential storage solutions. So I want to give them a chance as well.
No problem.
Obviously, there were many questions, and there is a lot to say about this. So, like I said, all the questions will be shared with our speakers, so you can have like one-to-one follow-up discussions on all these topics. Daku and
Perfect.
Nigel, thank you very much for your input in today's sessions, and I wish you an excellent rest of the day. We are now going to switch over to the second part of today's planning, which is focusing on residential storage solutions. And for this, before I welcome our live speakers of the day, I would like to share a recorded video message.
Good day, my distinguished guests and solar energy sector friends. It's an honor to address you today. As a general manager of GoodWe in the MENA region, I'd like to extend my gratitude to all of you to join us in this pivotal discussion on the current situation and the future of MENA region in C&I and residential solar PV and battery and storage system business development. The MENA region stands at the forefront of renewable energy revolution, with abundant solar resources, increasing energy demand, and a strong commitment to the sustainability. The potential for solar PV and battery storage system in the commercial, industrial, and residential sectors is immense. I'd like to share insight into the current landscape and the opportunities ahead, and how GoodWe is contributing to this transformative journey. The MENA region has made remarkable strides in renewable energy adoption. Governments across the region have set ambitious targets to diversify energy sources, reduce carbon emissions, and enhance energy security. Solar PV installations are growing rapidly, driven by declining technology costs and favorable policies, and the needs for sustainable energy solutions. In the C&I sector, businesses are increasingly adopting solar PV systems to reduce operational costs, achieve energy independence, and meet sustainability goals. Similarly, in the residential sector, homeowners are recognizing the value of solar energy in reducing electricity bills and contribute to a greener future. However, the intermittent nature of solar energy poses challenges. This is where battery energy storage system come into play. Battery energy storage system not only ensures sustainable and reliable energy supply, but also maximizes the utilization of solar energy, enabling businesses and households to store excess energy for use during peak hours or at night. I think there are some key trends shaping the future of solar PV and battery energy storage systems in the Middle East and North Africa region. Firstly, as solar adoption grows, the integration of battery energy storage system will become essential. Storage systems will play a critical role in grid stability, energy management, and enabling off-grid solutions. Secondly, the rise of smart inverters and smart energy management systems will revolutionize how we generate, store, and consume energy. Thirdly, governments in the MENA region are expected to introduce more incentive for solar and storage system for accelerating adoption. The shift towards decentralized energy systems will empower business and homeowners to take control of their energy needs. At GoodWe, we are driving by our clear vision to be a global leader in smart energy solutions, empowering a sustainable future. Since our inception, we have been at the forefront of innovation, delivering cutting-edge solar inverters and energy storage solutions that meet the evolving needs of our customers. In the MENA region, we are committed to supporting the growth of solar PV and battery energy storage system markets. Our solutions are designed to address the unique challenges of this region, from high temperatures to varying grid conditions. We are proud to partner with Middle East EPC constructors and distributors and research agencies to deliver reliable, efficient, and sustainable energy solutions. The transition to sustainable energy future is a collective effort. So, as an industry leader, we must collaborate to drive innovation, share knowledge, and create solutions that meet the needs of our region. GoodWe is committed to being your trusted partner in this journey, and together we can unlock the full potential of solar PV and battery energy storage systems, empowering business, homes, and communities across the Middle East and North Africa region. The Middle East and North Africa region is poised to become a global leader in renewable energy. The opportunities in the C&I and the residential sector, PV and the battery energy storage system markets are immense. So GoodWe is here to support you every step of the way. So let's work together to build a brighter, cleaner, and more sustainable future together. Thanks, my friend.
Before I hand over to you, Hassan, I want to say a quick few words about your backgrounds. You are the technical sales engineer for the MENA region at GoodWe. and you really bring this right combination between the technical knowledge on one side, which is of course critical, but also the sales expertise, which is also very important for the client side to understand what exactly their needs are, and you are then able to translate this into tailored solutions for them. And before, if I'm not mistaken, before joining GoodWe, you've also been working with another company, GrowWhat, for 3 years, also in the technical side of things. So really a vast knowledge on the topic of today, focusing on residential solar solutions and storage solutions, which is becoming extremely hot at the moment. And so we're eager to hear from you more about this. And I hand over to you now.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GoodWe webinar. We are happy to have you today. My name is Hassan, the Technical Sales Engineer for MENA region. And I am excited to present some of the key highlights of our solutions. Here you can see the growth journey of our company from establishment in 2010 to its latest achievement in 2024. As you can see, we have expanded our global presence, developed cutting-edge technologies, and achieved key milestone and sustainability. Some highlights include the launch of the first PV inverter for residential use in 2011, becoming the #1 global supplier of hybrid inverters in 2019, and being listed on the Shanghai Stock Exchange in 2020. More recently, we have expanded into new markets like MENA region and continue to deploy our solution all over the world.
Stan, if I may just ask you to close the chat section on the left of your screen because it covers some part of your...
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we can start here with our residential and storage solution. From the left, we have our DNS G3. It's our residential on-grid inverter from 3 to 6 kilowatt. It has up to 2 MPPT, and it's a single phase. And very soon we will have a new version, DNS G4. And the next one is DT-G3, also on-grid inverter from 8 to 30 kilowatt, up to 2 MPPT, and it's a 3-phase solution. In the middle, we can you can see the ES-G2. It's our residential hybrid inverter from 3 to 6 kilowatt, up to 2 MPPT. You can install up to 16 inverters in parallel. And the next one also, the other residential hybrid inverter, AS Unique. Also, you can install up to 16 inverters in parallel. We have also our ETG2. Also, it's a hybrid inverter for residential from 6 to 15 kilowatt, and it has up to 3 MPPT. And you can install up to 4 inverters in parallel. And the last one, it's our C&I storage hybrid inverter, ET40 to 50 kilowatt. It has up to 4 MPPT, and now you can install this inverter up to 10 inverters in parallel, so up to 500 kilowatt hour. And here we can see our on-grid solutions from the left, GT series. It's our GT from 100 to 125 kilowatt. It has up to 10 MPPT, and it's a very suitable solution for C&I projects. And the next one, it's HT series. It's a utility scale inverter. We have two sizes, 225 and 250. And the last one, it's UT series, also for utility scale. And we have also up to 350 kilowatt. And this is our MV station. Normally we use this MV station with our utility inverters. It has three parts, MV room and transformer and LV room. We have different sizes from 3.5 megavolt ampere up to 9 megawatt ampere. And one of our standout tools is AZ Designer, a lifetime free system design platform that supports multiple languages. It allows users to create efficient and accurate energy system design. Whether you are a beginner or an expert, this tool simplifies the design process, making it accessible to professionals in different regions around the world. And here another powerful tool. We offer the SIMS portal. It's also for free, easy to use monitoring platform that provide real-time information into your energy system. It helps users track performance, detect issues, and optimize energy usage from anywhere. It ensures a smooth and accessible experience for users around the world and making energy management more efficient. Yeah, that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for being a part of GoodWe. If you have any technical questions or need support, please reach out to us at the contact provided. We appreciate your time and looking forward to collaborating with you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Hassan. This was your first presentation, and now there is also a second part for residential storage in the Middle East, breaking barriers and unlocking potential. I think we're going to be joined by Mr. Sadok Besbes.
Yes, I can hear you. Hello?
Yes, wonderful. We can hear you. Maybe you can turn on your camera also so we can see you.
Yes, I will do it just right now. Can you see me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this webinar. Thank you for everyone for participating for such an event because it's very important to share our expertise and our news about our market in many places, just like South Africa and the Middle East. So we started in the solar field since 2019, and it's our seventh year in the market. Our market is the Tunisian market. It's about 80% or 90% of the market is residential, and 10% is C&I projects and solar plants. Unfortunately, we don't have a storage system yet in our country because the government doesn't allow those systems in the grid. But now we're starting to discuss in our in the ecosystem of the market. We are discussing now with the government and the parliament about allowing those storage systems to be related to our grid, and of course to decrease the taxes, because we pay on lithium battery, we pay about 47% of taxes, and even for the inverters, the hybrid inverters. So now we are trying to discuss to, first of all, to allow those systems to be connected to the national grid, and secondly, to try to decrease those taxes to 10%, such as all other solar equipment. Basically, the most important inverters that we have in Tunisia is the monophase inverters. Our best seller is 3 kilowatt. So we are doing now a great job with GoodWe to introduce the monophase products in Tunisia. Now we are taking a big share of the market. We try to increase it in 2025, of course, and we are trying to have also some C&I projects.
Thank you very much.
So
Yes, please go on, go on.
So this is basically the solar market in Tunisia. So if there is any questions, I will happy to have it and to answer it.
There are indeed many questions. Maybe first a question to you and Hassan specifically about residential storage solution. Question about, so on our side at Absia, we collect a lot of information about all kinds of solar segments and solar applications in Africa. And we really see an uptake of residential solar systematically and more, including storage solutions. And I would like to hear from you if this is also, first of all, something that you really see as a trend in your business. And if that's the case, what would you say are the main drivers for this?
The question is for me or for Hassan?
For both of you, really.
Okay.
But you can start. Yes.
Okay. You know, in Tunisia we have net metering, so we sell kilowatts to the stake, which is the company, the government company to sell electricity, the only one, and we get back in hours that we don't produce electricity. So basically, the most trend things that we have is monitoring is becoming the most important thing in the solar system, because the client now needs to control his system. And also, people now are trying to have better inverters for production, and it's a simple market actually. So we don't have those storage systems yet, but we're trying to.
And for you, Hassan, yes. What do you see in markets maybe outside of Tunisia, which is a little bit of an exception? Having net metering in place is not common for the wide majority of countries in Africa. How do you see the situation in other countries?
Yeah, actually, the residential storage solution, it's very popular in countries that has problems in the grid. The grid is not stable. We can say like some countries like Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen. So people there, they are looking for a reliable system. So this countries, the market of residential solutions is very popular, and they prefer to use hybrid inverters or hybrid solutions. Yeah, so I think in the residential side, yes, it's not popular in some countries that already have a stable grid, but yes, we are focusing in other countries like, as I said, like Yemen or Lebanon or Iraq.
And then this is a usual question, but it comes back every time in every single webinar that I organize when it comes to storage. So it highlights the fact that this is very important for the people listening to us. Safety consideration. There's always a lot of talk about this, and there's always a lot of questions about this. Is there any kind of advice, or is there any kind of update on technology with regards to safety and avoiding fire risks in particular that you could share with our listeners today?
Yeah, sure. We already have our monitoring system, so if there is any fault, the customer can detect this fault remotely anytime to solve it ASAP. We have a different type of protection for our inverters, like overload protection, AFCI. So if, for example, happen one of this fault, the system will stop working and it will send a notification by our SIMS portal to our customers. So this type of our protections, so the customer can solve the issue, and after that the inverter will work again. Also, we have a guidance in our user manuals to follow safety regulations in each country, like the voltage range and the frequency range and other parameters.
Then we have a whole set of questions trying to understand the differences between residential storage solutions and C&I. And so if that's okay with you and with you, Jaku, maybe I can ask you to join us back in the discussion so that you can provide your point of view from the more C&I side of things, while Hassan and Sadok can highlight on the residential side of things. First question: is there a fundamental difference in technology, for example, in capacity, in performance, maybe in cell technology and cell nature between residential and C&I, or is it all the same technology but just different sizes, different capacity?
We have, of course, different size. Also, we have some of different technologies, like, for example, the batteries that we are using for residential is different than the batteries that we are using for C&I. Normally, we are using LV battery or low voltage battery for residential and high voltage batteries for C&I projects. C&I projects it has also some different types of protections that suitable for this projects.
Yaku, anything to add on this?
No, I think that was covered by Hassan. The main differences, as you mentioned, high voltage and low voltage. Low voltage is typically a lower cost model for storage. High voltage becomes slightly more expensive, but once you start scaling to bigger systems, it becomes more attractive in terms of pricing. Also, there is a slight difference in efficiency between a low voltage system and a high voltage system. So high voltage is a bit more efficient. So the round trip efficiency is typically higher. In terms of regulation and changes, it is regional dependent. Typically, for C&I customers, they do have a couple of more ticks on the check boxes that they need to tick in terms of tests, in terms of certain compliance stuff that they need to adhere to. Residential is a bit more flexible, although it also changes. In South Africa, it regularly changes. So the regulation is adapted based on certain problems that we have, certain failures in the past. So the regulation will then be adapted to try and mitigate certain issues. But at the end of the day, it's inverting solar, or it's inverting sun, converting that to charge a battery, and then converting the DC battery back. It's the same thing. It uses the same kind of cell technology. You could get different sizes, you get different module types, but it's basically a bigger scale.
Thank you very much. Moving on to commercial aspects, because this is always as well a very regular topic that listeners want to hear about. few minutes ago, we heard from Sadok that there is a 47% import duty on storage component. Please correct me if I misunderstood this.
Yeah.
Which is very
Very high.
unusual and a little bit against the trend compared to
Yeah.
how things are evolving across the rest of Africa. Because a few minutes before that, Jaco also explained about the various incentives available in South Africa. May I please ask you to highlight if you know of any specific cases in Africa where there are similar incentives or rebates specifically for storage solutions. I mean, net metering is also one kind of incentive for solar solutions, but here specifically about storage. Yeah, Hassan or Yaku, maybe first. We know the situation in South Africa where really a lot of effort has been done. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on this. And then maybe highlight some other countries where you know something very interesting and supportive is being put in place.
Yes, yeah, for the commercial side, it's most popular in like in countries that have a vision to be more sustainable. So like they put some regulation for the factories to like or some buildings to use a part of this energy by renewable energy. So they are going with the commercial solutions. Yeah, also actually with some countries that also has issues with the grid. Also, they also do commercial projects. As you know, for it depends on the goal of the projects or depend on the load of this projects. So if there is a factories, buildings, restaurants, this type of load, so they will go with the commercial solutions.
Jaco, from your experience in South Africa, but also the wider Southern African region, do you see any countries that really stand out in supporting the uptake of storage solutions?
Yes, so our neighbors in Zimbabwe and Zambia is facing some significant generation capacity constraints. So they are actually currently experiencing 12-hour load shedding sessions. There's been a lot of talks about incentives. Nothing that I can pick up that's really super significant that has been confirmed yet. But one thing that is clear is the government is willing to support. So they have started with net metering. Net metering can be extremely beneficial. At this point in time, the rates doesn't really justify yet, especially on the storage side. But there is definitely some initiatives that's being tabled at the moment for that region specifically. In South Africa, there's also a lot of a push for BESS programs that is aimed at diversifying the energy mix. We've opened up the IPP process. Eskom has opened up the IPP, Independent Power Producer process, quite heavily. There's way more licensing to these providers that's available now. So we're expecting that this will also drive more on the bigger scale solutions, but it will definitely drive a bigger adoption for bigger scale based solutions. My colleague is currently in Zambia, and we had a discussion prior to this webinar where there's regional specific incentives for guys in the C&I space where they can get a little bit more. So although they have a national net metering kind of policy. It can be adapted based on the area where they are based. This is also due to the transmission lines that might be limited, whatever the case is. Originally, it was only for utility scale, but they have now started to include C&I as well. So we are anxiously looking to see exactly what this will entail and how much of a benefit it will be, but there's a massive drive for it, definitely.
And still on the topic of commercial aspect, I know this is very difficult because the situation is different in every single country. But is there some kind of ballpark idea that you can give to people looking into their future storage solution in terms of price per kilowatt, price per kilowatt hour, the kind of return on investment that they can expect payback period? How do you generally go about this with your clients, and what do you advise them to take into account when they are making their own cost-benefit calculation?
So if I may, so the discussion due to the pricing and where they're sitting at the moment, the ROI discussion has significantly changed over the past couple of, well, actually months, let's call it 2 or 3 years. And it is, you see, the thing with commercial applications is in many cases, a lot of these businesses operate when the sun shines. That's the predominant usage pattern, is they use power when the sun is shining, which means that the storage application becomes a smaller part of the total energy mix, which carries the loads in the early mornings when the sun is maybe not at its peak yet, or in the afternoon, just because the shifts, before the shift ends, or whatever the case might be. So because of that smaller sector, we've seen ROI models that is touching on 2.5 years with storage, which has never been the case. So it's becoming more and more relevant, but all of these also don't take into account directly the energy price increase that is constantly coming. So that's based on existing tariffs, existing plans. Obviously, the government is constantly finding ways to generate some income, whether it is with higher demand charges or availability charges, or whatever the case might be. But it is still very difficult to combat that ROI, which has come down from 12, 13 years to 2, 3, 4 years. And then coupled with the fact that there is constant availability, there is backup power for worst case scenarios, it becomes a very, very simple and easy thing to do. Unfortunately, no two businesses are exactly the same. So each company, we always generally recommend or say that there should be some form of measurement, some understanding of exactly what is the current patterns. And then based on that model, it is easy to see exactly what the benefit would be.
Thank you very much. Hassan, I don't know if you want to add something to this, or maybe I can also share the next question, which is a perfect continuation of what you've just mentioned, Jaco. We have a question from Irene, who is developing projects in Zambia, specifically in several countries, but in Zambia, Irene is mentioning that she's receiving a lot of requests from the agricultural sector. And my question here is to ask you if you see some segments of the industries, some specific industries that appear to be benefiting more than others in your current work. Is there some lower hanging fruit industries that are the big winners of all these new developments in the storage scene?
Yes, for the agriculture projects, actually, most of these projects, it's storage projects, because normally this places it's away from the city, and most of the time the grid is not available there. So people go with the hybrid solutions with a big capacity of battery, and also they add generators. So the hybrid solution is very good choice for them. For example, they can use, for example, one of our commercial hybrid inverters. It's 80, 40, and 50 kilowatt. They can use it with our STS to add a generator and battery, also the grid and PV panels. So the system will be very reliable and very suitable for such like this projects.
Like in South Africa, do you see any industry that really stands out aside from agriculture?
Definitely manufacturing, especially small-scale manufacturing. The cost of electricity directly influences the cost of production, the cost of the product. So we've seen, especially where there is requirements for larger continuous loads, it becomes a very simple and easy discussion to add solar to the mix to reduce the bottom line cost of production.
Thank you very much. Switching to another hot topic in our industry, electric mobility. And we have a listener who's interested to hear your view on how this plays out, on what are the reciprocal impacts of more and more EV adoption on the grid, either at residential level or on business parkings or supermarket parkings. How is this actually playing out? What do you see are the trends popping up in your respective markets?
Actually, yes, most of the MENA countries, they start do that. For example, in Dubai, it's already there. In Qatar, recently, they add a net smart meter. So, and also they give approvals for multiple brands of inverters. So such like these countries, they're ready to make the solar with the grid, and the customers or the client, they can sell to the grid and also take from the grid or import from the grid when they need.
In South Africa, obviously, load shedding is still fairly fresh in everyone's minds. So EV adoption has been slower compared to some of the other countries that we are involved in and understand, understandably so. Also, the rising cost of electricity is another deterring factor. I think 3-4 years ago, the EV market was rich people's toys market, which is it was very selective. It was a very small market segment that competed in this industry, in the EV sector. But over the last couple of months, also in South Africa, we've seen a more stable grid. We've seen less load shedding, and with that, we've also seen a lot of new low-cost players enter the market. So we are 100% expecting a massive growth for EVs in South Africa in the next coming years. What we have done from a GoodWe perspective is we started discussions with some of the leading EV providers, where as a bundle deal, a solar solution is financed on top of the vehicle cost, which then creates that end user confidence that there is a more ecosystem that is taking charge of the cost, as well as still giving additional benefits to the house. So that seems to be the approach. There's also massive investment in terms of charging stations across South Africa. I know that the plan for 2025 is to switch on something like 12,000 charging stations in the country, spread all over. Most major travel routes have already been covered, so there's almost nowhere 100-kilometer stretch that there won't be an EV charger available, especially on major routes. It will remain a challenge for rural areas. Obviously, that is something that will take time. But in terms of urban areas, the adoption rate is definitely picking up. I saw some numbers at the end of February, which is triple or 4 times what it was in the same period last year. But coming from nothing to 4 times still doesn't mean that we are on the heels of Europe and Asia, but it's definitely expanding.
Thank you very much. And maybe same question to Sadok, to shed a bit more light about the existing EV landscape in Tunisia. How is this working out there, and what you see are the potential collaborations and bridges with storage solutions? You will need to unmute yourself first, Sadok. We cannot hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Now you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Actually, the mobility electrical is the same thing as the storage, because the government has an objective to attend 30% of the cars, electrical cars, will be in 2030. But for now, we have less than, I think, 100 electrical car actually in Tunisia. So now we are starting to have some points in all the regions of Tunisia for like EV charger for the EV charger, and we are talking now about the role of the storage for the when charging vehicles. So that we do need to build some stations, which is where in places there is no electricity. So we need to have storage system there to facilitate access to the charging systems in those places. But I think it will be after 2025. It will be most important. The market, the EV market, and the storage market will increase, and that's why now we are starting as EPC and as a distributor. We are starting to focus on those systems to check what are the most important things that we need to focus on. To get ready when the market will be open to such systems.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I see we are almost nearing the end of today's session, so I'll just take a last round of invitation for everybody who might still have a last minute question. Please make sure to submit it. We might not have a chance to address it right now, but definitely it will be recorded and shared with our speakers. So this is a good last chance. Next question for the three of you. It's a relatively broad question, but definitely interested for the entrepreneurs and EPC companies, developers all across Africa. It's a question about new business models that might be arising thanks to all the evolution in storage technology, because of the price, because of the flexibility of systems, also because of maybe some policy developments in the respective countries where you are an expert on. Are you seeing new business models, new business opportunities? I think, Jaco, for example, you mentioned arbitrage in your previous answers. Can you maybe elaborate on this? And I would love to hear from the three speakers what they see are new business opportunities.
Yeah, so definitely time of use is becoming a keyword. So the municipalities and the cities, especially City of Cape Town, have adopted various different metrics So we're seeing a lot of applications that is moving to this arbitrage billing or time of use, where there's different tariffs based on different seasons, different tariffs based on different times of the day. So that generally pushes a total different solution. So if we're talking about 2-3 years ago, the idea was off-grid, get away from the grid, blah, 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 blah. And the guys that had the money to do it deployed the systems, and today they are happy and they're independent. But 80-90% of the market cannot afford that approach in terms of C&I. And that opens up the possibility of peak shaving, where instead of trying to cover the entire loads, we just take certain peak demands away, which then creates a massive saving in terms of the demand charge, which is typically a static charge based on the peak of that month. So if you can eliminate a big portion, again, it is based on specific applications, and it's not going to be viable to every single C&I customer. But there's many applications where the peaks are very short-lived peaks, and they are for short duration, and the base time load is actually quite small. So guys are investing in a solution that just cuts off that top end of the fat, and that creates a massive saving, which then turns into a very quicker return on investment. So we're seeing a lot of that, and then also wheeling is becoming something that is pushed from all directions. So we know that there's a lot of discussionings, there's a lot of policymakers that's busy at the moment. There's already been a couple of wheeling exercises, or proof of concepts that's been put into place. So we are right on the verge of something like that's about to happen, which will then even furthermore strengthen the time of use, peak shaving, valley peak shaving, those kind of applications.
Thank you very much. Hassan, over to you. You are in a privileged position. You sit across 2 different continents, so you can learn from both sides. What interesting new business models are you witnessing, and what do you think could be really, really impactful for Africa?
Yeah, as my colleague Jaco said, yeah, the flexibility is very high now. The customers, they have multiple choices, they have multiple options, so they can choose different type of solutions, different size also. Even for the existing projects, we have also the AC coupling solutions. So I think now for any projects, we can find the solutions from small projects, residential, up to the utility projects with generator, with a grid, without a grid, with battery, without battery. So all options it's available now. So the opportunity will be much more, and the clients and customers, they will prefer to update some of their projects to have this flexibility.
And then same question to Sadok to share the point of view of a country which is in a very special situation, almost 100% grid connectivity, net metering, and availability of power. So how does that actually play out for you in Tunisia? Do you actually see some great business opportunities nevertheless?
Yes. Actually, yes. There's big opportunities actually in Tunisia, because here we have the productivity of the sun is very important. So an usual solar system in Tunisia have 3 years of return. So after 3 years, you will get back your money. So here, everyone who have business or residential, they won't have solar systems in their facilities. So there is a huge opportunity, and actually we are the government is establishing that in 2030 we will have 30% of our energy production comes from solar. So now we are about 5%. So in those next years in Tunisia, it's I think it will be the most important market in the country. Of course, storage it not will be that good, because here we talk about 1 hour per year as an average for electricity coupure. So it's not that important. But in some places, I think, especially in the south of Tunisia, storage systems will be very important, because there is no electricity for 100% of the region. So if maybe the solar will allow to some places to be developed, to have some, for example, some new places to visit, because of we have some touristic places that there is no electricity. So I think that the solar will play the most important role to develop these places, and to set new opportunities in other business in the country.
Thank you very much, and very positive outlook from the three of you. And I think, if this is okay with you, we have a special guest, Mr. Sarwar. Are you with us? Can you hear us? Can you speak?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Yes, hello, Sarwar. Welcome to join us.
Yeah.
You are, if I'm not mistaken,
Thank you very much.
GoodWe partner, not in Africa, but in Iraq, and with specific
Iraq, yeah.
specific challenges in the country, but also specific solutions. And you wanted to share just a few words about this.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, and nice to meeting all of you, especially Mr. Hassan and Sadiq. We are the GoodWe partner. When we just started the business with them, actually from the last year partner summit in China. Iraq is the good market for the solar system because of the two reasons. The main reason is the electricity is not stable in our region, unfortunately, which is the good for the solar businesses. And the second reason, because we have a good sunny days most of the time, so we can get the benefit from the sunny days. So we can generate more power from the solar system. And recently, because I'm located in the north of Iraq, in the Kurdistan region, recently the price of the electricity has been raised. So now, as I heard from the markets, more people, they are trying to get the solar system because of the price rising, and they want to get the benefit from this new opportunity. So Iraq is the good market for the solar system, and as we started last year, but we are anticipating about the good market, and it's of course with the support from the GoodWe company.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your developments in the country. Today's session is indeed a bit hybrid. We focused on Africa, but also on the Middle East. So it's great to also have your inputs to this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thanks for arranging this nice event.
Gentlemen, Yaku, Hassan, Sadok, I think we're slightly over time. It's been a dense morning of information and some tips sharing with our listeners. Before I close the session, I would like to maybe give you a opportunity to do some closing notes. You've highlighted how fast this industry is growing, how many opportunities there are, but maybe your one last final thought that you would like to share with our listeners today.
Well, I think at the end of the day, These systems have a massive upfront cost, regardless of how you look at it. It is a fairly big investment for any company, especially on the C&I front. But even residential, it is a lifelong commitment. I mean, in residential, solar has been compared to buying a couch. Typically, a household will only buy one or two couches in the lifespan or over in 20 years or 25 years. And I think the most important thing is to align with a company that is reputable, that is bankable. There's a lot of players entering the market, so it always comes down to doing your homework, understanding the key strengths of certain manufacturers. There's a lot of OEM business that is not directly controlled by the manufacturer. So these things play a very big role in making these decisions, or it should. We do see people that's jumping the gun, and they're investing in a massive system that is untried, it's not tested, it's not backed by a proper warranty, it's not backed by a strong brand. And then 6-7 months down the line, we get roped in to try and save what is there, and it becomes very, very, very difficult. So with GoodWe, it's quite easy. Good is in the name, so we have to be good. So that should be the decision maker.
Thank you very much, Hassan. What are your final thoughts that you want our listeners to leave this session with?
Yeah, actually, the market in MENA region now it's very big. Many countries just start to put their regulations for the solar system projects, like Iraq, Qatar, and recently Jordan also. The government now support people to do these projects. So I would like from them to review these regulations, start their business. In GoodWe, we have all types of solutions. Just give us your project details, and we will give you the suitable solutions for your project. We have different types of solutions from the residential to the utility scale. We have different types, not just hybrid. We have also off-grid, and we have on-grid inverters, and we have very good batteries. Also, I would suggest to use the same batteries that, for example, if you use GoodWe inverter, suggestion always use the same battery brand. Otherwise, you can also use other brands of battery by checking our list. We have a battery list in our website, so follow this list to avoid any problems in future or any compatibility problems with PMS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then last but not least, Sadok, what can we wish you in Tunisia, which is one of the hot markets at the moment on the African continent?
Actually, we hope that we will have the storage systems by the end of the year. So I think it's very important to have it. Even it's not the most important thing in the solar market here, but I think there's storage systems that will allow new opportunities in business in Tunisia. That's the first thing. The second thing that I hope that the market will increase. We will open new opportunities in C&I, because here we have a big market for residential, but not that big with the C&I projects. It's about 20% of the capacity that we install in Tunisia. It's not that big. So I hope in 2025 that will be a big step for the C&I projects in our markets. That's all. I think that those two things are the most important thing, I think, in our country.
Well, they are very well noted. Thank you very much.
Thank
right,
you.
this I believe it's time to wrap up and to close for today. I would like to give you a big round of virtual applause to our speakers, but also to the many of you who've been joining us throughout this 2 and a bit more hours of discussions on storage solutions as part of the GoodWe by GoodWe. There will be more such events this week covering other parts of the globe. For us, we're very happy and very pleased that the week started off with a focus on Africa and the Middle East. I thank you once again, all of you, for staying with us and for joining us every time more and more. What I will do is I will keep this session live for 1 more minute, so that in case you have a last minute, you still have a few seconds to drop it in the Q&A box. And then after this, I will close and we will do everything we have promised in terms of sharing the presentations, sharing the recording, and also sharing the contact details so everybody can stay in touch. I wish you an excellent rest of the day and thank you once again. Bye-bye.